Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Hello, and welcome to Monday's edition of the Fly Nubian Money Podcast, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Good morning, or good afternoon to you wherever you are. We have the dream team here today. How y'all doing? Miss Marlo, how you doing? Our media queen, how are you today?
I'm great, and yourself?
I'm wonderful. And our therapist, I don't know about y'all therapists, we got our own in-house therapist. Mr. Joe is in the house. How you doing?
I'm good. What's happening?
What's happening? And then we got our thought leader here today, Miss Melissa. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I hope everyone else is doing good too.
Great. We're good on this end. Today, guys, I need you to tune in because we're talking about something that is affecting so many millions of families today, and that is unemployment. There was a time when we used to sing this song called Ain't Nothing Going On But the Rent. You got to have a job if you want to be with me. But today, more people in America are actually out of work than there are jobs available. Now, we're going to talk about this today. We'll explore why this is happening, what this means for our communities, and how you can protect your money and your future in uncertain times. But before we get started, let's go ahead and look at some stats. Let's see how bad it really is out there in these streets. Come on, producer, let's look at some stats. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, there are about 8.5 million unemployed people, but only 7.5 million job openings, and that's nationwide, you guys. Black unemployment remains consistently double the national average, which hovers around 8% compared to 4% overall. About 37% of unemployed people have been out of work for 27 weeks or longer, and that's considered long-term unemployment. Let that one sink in. A recent survey showed 61% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, making unemployment especially devastating for families. One more. Rising automation and AI could eliminate as many as 14 million jobs globally by 2030. You guys, it's 2025. That one is scary. By 2030. I gotta ask a question here. What in the world is going on? Where have all the jobs gone? Marlo, what are your thoughts? What's going on here?
The jobs have been collectively outsourced. That was the first wave, right? In the 80s, all of the manufacturing jobs went overseas, and in the early 90s. Then we got into automation. Every industry is touched by automation, and that's not even when we get to AI, which is where we are now. And then if we compound that by the new administration and the 280,000 firings or contract outs, I don't know if they broke the contract or if they were legally broken, but the cuts that were made by Doge, it all is just compounding itself. And when people lose jobs, other people lose jobs, right? If I'm unemployed, I'm not going to eat. So that means people in the places where I used to frequent for lunch are going to get their jobs cut because there's not as much money coming into that. So, it's just a dirty old ripple wave.
Wow, I agree. I agree. Let's let our in-house therapist weigh in on this one. What's going on with the jobs? What's going on with the jobs?
I mean, the same thing that's been going on with them for years. It's discrimination. It's historical discrimination. That's nothing new. And a lot of people are, in the labor market, and it's just a lot of inequalities, and a lot of educational inequities. Like these aren't new things. You got housing and transportation barriers, all the things that make it difficult for a lot of people to be hired. And then the economy is what it is. So it's just a lot of stress and problems out there right now.
Okay, okay. Melissa, a question for you. Do you think that we see the numbers? We just went through the stats, but do you think unemployment is actually higher than what's being reported, or does it just feel like it might be higher than what's actually being reported right now?
I think it is high because there is a lot going on with AI and technology, and especially that
Mhm.
whole, the whole Black women losing their job and corporate America stuff. I see that as real. But it's exciting because it puts us in a position to where we're forced to build our community and circulate our dollars. So it's a little two-sided.
Okay, so it can be a bad thing for some, but also it can be an opportunity for others. And it's all in how you look at it and how you respond and react to it. I got to take a moment and welcome some of our viewers into the show this morning. Good morning, Dennis Spraggins. We see you. Double A, we see you. Walterine, thank you for joining us. Lisa Jackson, Petrolia, thank you so much. Love and respect over negativity. I love it. I love it. I love it. Come on in, because we got enough negativity in this good world right now. It's interesting that you guys mentioned this, and I want to know your thoughts. So yesterday, I got up and tuned in to some of my online services, worship services, which I often do. And I kind of already knew what everybody was going to be talking about, or shall I say who everybody was going to be talking about. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. So one of the things that I found interesting, Pastor Jamal Bryant over at Newberg gave some startling statistics about unemployment, particularly in that the number of Black women that have lost their jobs just since March, since all of the Doge downsizing, is about 340,000 people, you guys. That one just blew me away. I'm not really sure where his source comes from, but he says about 340,000 people have lost their jobs. And this is just Black women. Now, in this same time frame, over 367,000 white men have found employment somehow, some way. So I'm not suggesting, but I do want to know your thoughts. Are we being sacrificed, you guys? Marlo, what are your thoughts? I mean, are we being hung out to dry here so that we can make room for other folks?
Absolutely. We were told, you can't make unemployment not political, right? Because things happen politically that will determine economic swings such as tariffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we were told that we as a nation were moving toward a meritocracy, and we were moving away from what they call DEI. So if there's a group of people that are being given stuff and there's a group of people that are out earning stuff, it's not hard to tell what people fall into what bunch, right? This is the old American tale that just never kind of changes. So of course we're being sacrificed so that able-bodied, willing, great American males can get into those jobs and help push forward a narrative that we had as a nation started getting away from. But we going back because we like old boyfriends and stuff. So
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to throw it to Joe here. Question for you. Do you think that there are certain groups of us or among us that are being impacted by these unemployment numbers more so than others?
When you say certain, you mean black people?
Hey, whoever they are, call it as you see it.
Yeah, of course, of course. It's like I said, all the things that I mentioned before. But I mean, it's a disparity in the labor market, and we have to accept the climate that we live in right now. This is what it is. We are in a country where this man is our president, where hate for us and about us is celebrated and pushed out to the masses, and it's going to be tough out there for black people right now. And if you don't believe that, or you're having a good time with it, God bless you. I'm happy for you. But if you're somebody that's trying to find your way, and this time it's going to be difficult because hate is above all. So there's hiring discrimination. There's network gaps. Many of the job opportunities, are filled through professional networks, and there's a systematic exclusion for us. And I'm not making that up. And black people are often hit harder during economic downturns, which is what we're experiencing right now, from my understanding. And if I'm wrong about that, so one of you smarter people, please let me know. But it's always going to be tougher in the United States of America on black people. I don't see a time in my lifetime or yours or your children's where that's not the case.
Well, I'd like to include our viewing audience in this conversation, and let us know in the chat if you are being impacted by what's going on out there in this economy. Are you currently unemployed? Have you experienced unemployment within the last, let's say, year? And what was that like for you trying to, find a job? Were there plenty of opportunities out there? Do you feel like you have the skill set for the new jobs that are out there? A lot of technology, AI has replaced a lot of people. We know that. And Melissa, I'm going to throw this one to you. Do you think with all of the new technology that's out there, is it eliminating jobs faster than they're actually being created?
Most definitely. But again, it's always two-sided. It's the perfect time for us to be authentic. And it's time for us as a community to finally come together. Because if we don't, our economics is going to crash. So we're forced with all this technology and stuff to come together and create our own ecosystem.
So how do we do that? What does that exactly look like? Because I do a talk show in the mornings that airs at 7 on Mondays, and we were just talking about something similar in that a lot of the radio personalities that are at the station are older people. And so they are now being challenged, being forced to use this new technology that's out there. I mean, we talked about a time when some of the quote unquote disc jockeys would roll into the radio station lugging a suitcase full of LPs or CDs. Those times are long gone. Can anybody relate to that one? But for particularly, Marlo, I'll go back to you, being a media personality yourself, being in that type of industry. How do you think this new technology is impacting, let's say, some of our more seasoned, I'll put it like that, workers?
I mean, it's definitely having an impact, and I think people need to expand their learning. If that's something that everybody should be trying to learn as much as they can. Everybody should be trying to see what tools there are to help them do their jobs easier, or things that help enhance their skill set, because that's what it's really going to be about. That's going to be the competition, is who uses the tools the best. And if you can figure out how to use those tools in your personal life, then even better for you.
Okay. Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to jump into our first commercial break. We'll be right.
It's a good show right here.
but I'm biased. If you are just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I'm the proud producer of this show because it is lit. If you want to receive notifications for when we go live Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you have to do is text the word Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. That's QUEENS to 87948. Also, if you want to grow your money and not blow your money, all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, there's courses, there's free giveaways. There's just no reason to be broke in 2025. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. Obviously, you don't want to be entertained here. You want to know enough to grow. Wait, I need to put that on a shirt. You got to know to grow. Got to know to grow. So know and grow.
Unemployed people that actually don't want to work. Give yourself a pat on the back because you got an excuse for the next year at least, because the U.S. now has more unemployed people than job openings for the first time since April 2021. And in 2021, we were still in the middle of a pandemic, so we are down bad right now. And if you are one of these people that actually have a job, I wouldn't be so happy either. I got some bad news for you too. Layoffs are up 39% in August to 85,979 jobs. So layoffs are going up, unemployment is going up. Things are bad, but if you are one of these people in a comfortable position, I wouldn't be too happy either. 2 in 5 U.S. workers have delayed or canceled major purchases such as homes or cars due to job security concerns. So even the people that have good jobs right now, they aren't securing themselves because of how shitty the job market is. And if you are one of these people that want to buy a house one day, housing data shows sellers now exceed buyers by over 500,000, marking the largest imbalance ever recorded in the market. If everything I just said did not alarm you that we are currently in a recession, maybe entering a Great Depression, I don't know what to tell you, but shit is hitting the fan and it is not going well for anybody.
All right. If you're just joining the conversation, welcome to this edition of Fly Nubian Money podcast, where we are talking about unemployment today. We got a lot going on out in the economy, and a lot of people are out of work. According to this gentleman right here, and I just want to address this, is it an issue of people not wanting to work versus jobs not being available? What are your thoughts on that, Melissa?
Yes, I think people are really exhausted with working. Me, myself, I mentioned before how I personally don't do good with traditional jobs. And I know people in general, the whole 9 to 5 thing, it gets exhausting. And with AI, it's like, okay, how can we find a way again to do it smarter, to do it faster, to do it better, to make more money, to travel? Like there's so much options nowadays. So yeah, people want to do different things for sure.
Okay, Joe, I'll ask you the same question. Do you think it's an issue of people not really wanting to work, or is it that we're just tired of our jobs?
I think it's both. I think, a lot of the issue is there's a lot of depression and anxiety going around right now, and that can reduce your motivation and focus when it comes to working jobs, especially jobs that are not in alignment with who you are. In this day and time, chronic job stress is a real thing, and there's such a thing as burnout, and there's past traumas that play into it. So, for me to sum it up, without going too deep into it, it's not that people are lazy, but sometimes, some people are lazy. I'm not going to discount the fact that some people are lazy, but not everyone's lazy. Some people feel overwhelmed. They feel hopeless. They feel anxious about maybe being in the same position that they're in for the rest of their life and being stuck in a job that they do not love and having to do that until retirement. Some people are not living authentically and not using their God-given abilities and talents to create revenue for themselves. This is what's happening. So there, and also the barriers that person comes across in their job, the systematic barriers that don't allow them to elevate. I talk to my clients all the time when they start talking to me about, oh, I'm so frustrated or stressed out because I got passed over for this position. And my first question is always, did the position they were going to give you come with putting your name on the side of the building? Because if it didn't, then what are you stressed about? You're stressed about not being able to make more money and give more of your time for somebody else's dream. And that usually throws people for a loop. But hey, be authentic. Like, you can make income in today's world through your God-given abilities. I know that seems impossible for some people. Somebody probably in the audience saying, bro, no, I can't. But I'm telling you, you definitely can.
Okay, I'm listening to the conversation and I had a flashback for a moment. I think, Marlo, you and I may have been on the show together last week, where Auntie Tab was giving people the advice to go out and get a job. Entrepreneurs that were out here hustling, trying to make that thing work, and it just wasn't working. She suggested that, perhaps you go out and look for a job. Well, what I'm hearing today is, even if you go out there looking for the job, you may not be able to find one. So is there a difference, or what's the difference between being unemployed and maybe even being discouraged from looking for work?
I think it's really your mindset is the difference, right? The discouragement, or you feeling like, you know what, I'm out of the job market, I'm about to be creative. It really is a mindset of difference, right? It's the difference between being hopeful and being defeated. And I think that one thing that we have to learn to do better as a community is partner, right? We have, as much as we hate the bootstraps, we buy into the bootstraps, we buy into the get it out the mud, like we buy into that stuff. Meanwhile, the folks that are encouraging us to get it out the mud, the folks that are encouraging us to get better straps for our boots, are partnering with other people to lighten the load. And so I think, like, obviously AI is a great partner, but people have to buy your product. And word of mouth is still going to always be a great advertising tool. And if you partner with somebody, then it's going to help you. And I think that sometimes we're just short-sighted, right? Many of us are looking for the money. The money gonna come. The money is going to come. If you have talent, you put your sweat equity in it, you got a good product, pitch idea, whatever it is, there's money on the other side. But how are you going to get there? And I think that we, it's been hinted at here a couple of times, but it really is going to be in our collective ability to come together and figure something out, right? That's what, like, there were no jobs when our ancestors were released from those shackles, when those men rode around on horses and said, hey, y'all done, you ain't got to do this no more, I don't know what you gonna do. They figured it out. And I think that we have the resources and we have the capability. I don't know that we always make the best use of our time in terms of Black people coming together, right? Because that's the audience primarily that we serve. But in terms of Black people coming together to figure out how can we work collectively and collaboratively to take care of our community, because ultimately that's, like, there are people that are talking about self-preservation, and then there's people in this pod over here that are talking about individual preservation. And when they talk about self-preservation, they talk about collectively as a group. And so I think that, Joe always says we have to get on code, right? And a lot of times we're off code about the things that are necessary to perpetuate our future growth and existence and all of those things. So y'all got to come together as a group, big dog. Work together.
So I have a question, and I'm going to pose this question, and we're going to go to commercial break. So that'll give our panelists time to think about this, because I want everybody to respond on this one. So I hear you say we need to come together, to work together collectively. The reality is, though, are we at a point where we are really ready to support each other? And by that, I mean, for example, if I am the person that goes out and I invest in, let's say, the restaurant or the grocery store or some other business entity, I hire people within my own community to come in and give them job opportunities, but then my community doesn't support my business. Are we really there yet? I want you to think about that. I'm not suggesting, I'm just going to throw that question out there, and we'll address that when we come back right after this commercial.
I know you're busy, you got things to do, and you can't take us on the go with you every single day. Good news for you, we are now on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, now you can listen to us on Spotify. Search Fly Nubian Money and all the episodes shall appear. All you have to do is like, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, leave some comments, tell people how you love us so that when other people come along and are looking for a great show to watch, they can find Fly Nubian Money too. One last thing, and just in case you've been sitting under a rock, Fly Nubian Money now has an investment club. We are the Fly Nubian Money Club. It's easy. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com, and I am committed to bringing in top experts from all industries to help you level up. They're teaching us the skills that we need to compete in this market. We often say that nobody is coming to save us, not the government, but guess what? We're coming to save us. I'm coming to save you with the Fly Nubian Money Club. So listen, all you have to do again is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. We have a 30-day free trial set up just for you, just for those people that are struggling. Even if you ain't struggling, you ain't got to struggle. I'm coming. Okay, let me stop playing. I'll see you soon.
So, do y'all know that the unemployment rate for Black women rose to over 7% in August of 2025? And do you also know only about like 20,000 jobs were created last month, August 2025? And do you also know that since COVID, that Black women business owners grew 51%, meaning like we started more businesses in COVID than in any other point in the history of Black women entrepreneurship during the epidemic. So what the hell does all this mean? Like, what does it mean? What it means is that if we are in a space right now where we are not creating, our economy is slowing down job creation, meaning we are not creating enough jobs to keep up with the demand of unemployment, because unemployment is increasing, and that Black women, even though the statistics show that we are losing jobs, we are still creating businesses, there's still something amiss with all of these numbers. And this is what the problem is. Black women have no problem becoming entrepreneurs. We are typically running the pack when it comes to starting businesses. The problem is that when we start businesses, we don't create businesses to become employers. We create businesses to survive. Meaning we create solo businesses, we become self-employed, we become freelancers, we become and let me add this to it. That little gig that you have, the DoorDash, the Ubers, that's considered a business, sis. According to how we measure businesses in this country, if you are not a W-2 employee, but you are 1099 contract, that means you're self-employed. So,
all right, we're back. And right before the break, we asked a question. We see, listening to this young lady, a lot of us are out here, women and men included, we are creating our own businesses. But my question is the community supporting us? Is the community supporting us when we take this on? So I'm going to start with Mr. Joe. We're going to throw this to Mr. Joe Corley and let you weigh in on it from a therapist standpoint. Are we there yet?
It's tough. It's tough for me now because, we're all in different places in our lives. I will say that it seems like right now, from my perspective, cooning is way more profitable and popular than it's ever been. It is rampant right now, and I don't understand why or how, but there's just too much money to be made as a coon. So, so, and then it's like the social validation that a lot of people are seeking out there. That white ice is just colder, like, you know what I mean? It's really just colder. So we're looking for that white ice, and it's I'm not so much as criticizing people, not everyone, because I understand the historical dynamics that influence this behavior, while you're looking for acceptance from your white peers, employees, or institutions, because there's always has been a power imbalance in our society, and white approval is associated with access to different opportunities. So if I seek white approval, then I therefore will succeed. But it gets a little crazy when I see a lot of people seemingly turning to a standpoint of just trying to hurt their own people or pushing down their own people in order to elevate themselves. And that's where I get the problem for them. So I think that there's a large number of people that are definitely ready to support one another. I really do. But we won't see those people pushed out into the mainstream media because there's no profit for that. It does this society well to elevate the coons.
Oh, wow. Interesting perspective. Thank you for sharing that. Melissa, we're going to throw it to you now. What are your thoughts? Are we there as a community? Are we ready? I mean, you mentioned the support of one another. Are we there? If we start businesses, are we going to go in and support our own?
So we definitely, all of us, even the woke people in our community, we have to decolonize our minds. We really have to strip away what white supremacy did to us, kind of like what Joe just said. You know, we've been programmed, we've been turned inside out, we've been duped and just completely eradicated when it comes to our culture, our identity. We don't see the value of our community. But there's always another side to it. There's a lot of us that are waking up that wants to, understand our ancestry, where we come from, Um, I would say it's about 50-50. But again, Joe made a good point. With social media, they're going to always make it seem like majority of black people are just sold out. So it's kind of tricky, but we're doing it. I see a lot of us doing it. A lot of us are waking up and we're asking questions, we're thinking critically, and we don't want to be enslaved anymore, especially the younger generation. I see a lot of us wearing our natural hair, like we're really getting out of this whole thing, and even outside of the natural hair thing, because even that has its own propaganda to it too. But we want the real, we want the truth. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Marlo, your thoughts. Do you think we are at a point where we could, create a viable community that is independent because we are supporting our own?
Well, we still have access to luxury things that aren't our own. So I'm going to say no, because when I look at what happens when people go to restaurants or a retail chain store and they're not treated well, right? By the time that they actually admit that they've been treated poorly at this establishment, they've been treated poorly multiple times. This is the time that just was so egregious that they had to get online and say something about it. But if you have a bad experience with a black owned and operated business, before you leave the parking lot, you're going to get online and tell everybody never go there again, right? And so I think that there is a level. Listen, Joe hit the nail on the head. The coon coffer is full. There is a lot of money over there, and people are going to go get that money. And on the other side, building is not sexy. Building a co-op, building an economy that is self-sustaining and self-sufficient, that's not sexy. Who wants that job? Nobody wants that job. Nobody wants to be the person that's gonna come on into the black co-op. People want to sell, man, the black co-op has the $10 million worth of investment, $105 million worth of investment, $1 billion. Like, people want to sell the sexy part of it. Nobody want to sell the work. And at this point, just from what I see, when there are events that are black people here locally where I live, events that are targeted toward black people, they're never packed enough. but the ratchetry is always packed, and that's not
Absolutely.
making a judgment on people, right? But if there are Black artists that are doing work that depicts our life, that is uplifting us, and they have a show, and that show is $20 and nobody goes, but then everybody got $40 to get in the club, that tells me that there's something going on in terms of prioritizing and what we believe in as a people. So while Melissa thinks it's about 50-50, I'm going to go ahead and say it's about 70-30 on the Coons is still kinging on that side and don't really want to do the hard work that it will take. We like to talk about Tulsa. We like to talk about Rosewood. We like to talk about Treme, all of these communities that Black people built and that were self-sustaining. But that took work. We don't talk about how long it took before the first bank got to Greenwood, right? We don't talk about that. We just talk about the bank had this many assets. We like to talk about the end, but nobody want to talk about the work. And until we get serious about the work, I'm going to say we ain't ready.
Well, I tell you, there are days, you guys, when I honestly feel like we're in a situation where people want to be entertained far more than we want to be educated. And it's sad that we find ourselves there because we have too many serious issues going on in our community. And with that being said, we're going to jump into the next video and we'll be right back with you.
I need you to know that this is literally the reason why you can't get a job. If you're new to my page, I am a recruiter of 6 years. I've worked in pharma, manufacturing, aerospace, crop science, service industry, retail, whatever you can think of. I've worked in that industry. However, I am now a full-time career coach. Please excuse my dogs in the background. As of December this past year, there are 6.3 million people without a job. However, there is 5 million people looking for a job, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics, by the way. Reason why? Y'all are not being aggressive. These companies are being aggressive. Why aren't you? Your resume, take everything off that you don't need. Everything. If you're applying to a customer service position and you want to work remote, why do you have McDonald's still on there? Take it off. If you don't have experience at all, as in you haven't worked in the industry that you want to work in, then you do a skills-based resume. There's 3 different types of resumes. Skills-based, the chronological order, which is what we were all taught in business class, and then the hybrid model, which is skills and chronological order combined. In my business, I am now at a 72% success rate of my clients.
Okay. So I don't know about you guys, but what I think I may have heard is that some people that are not employed right now may not be necessarily marketing themselves and their skill sets the best. And that could really be an issue, especially for people that have not been in the job market in a long time. Let's say they had a long-term employment situation and they suddenly find themselves unemployed. Maybe they are not, as she said, aggressive enough. So, Marlo, we're going to start with you. We'll start with you on this one. What are some things that you would suggest for individuals that may not be in the workplace right now, that may be looking? What are some things that you would suggest that they may consider doing to make themselves appear more marketable?
I think definitely listing your skills. What are you capable of? I always say, look, I can teach you the skill. I can't teach you the will. So if I see on your resume that you're a go-getter, if I see on your resume that you have a bunch of transferable skills, that's going to be more exciting to me than somebody that served and they consider themselves only a journalist, right? Because where I work and the people that work under me, everybody got 64 jobs. That's the way of the world. That's a lot of why people don't want to work, because people want to have one job. But that's not the reality, right? Even if you're an entrepreneur, you wear many hats. So let me understand how well you are under stress. Let me understand how well you are with dealing with multiple projects and multiple deadlines. Let me know how much you are able to just get in and do stuff on your own. How resourceful are you? How organized are you? All of those are skills that you really cannot match, because when you get down to it, depending on the type of work that you do, I know for the type of work that I do, I just named all the skills that are very, very necessary. Yeah, you got to be a writer, you got to be a storyteller, but more than that, you got to be organized. You got to be able to make a deadline. And I think that people need to start thinking about, what can I do? Yes, my job title was this, but what were the things that I was actually doing day to day on the job, and find out ways to market that, find ways to sell what you did, not what your paycheck says you are or what HR has you classified as. What did you do day in and day out?
Okay, Joe. Same question for you. Do you think there are things that we could do, those that are unemployed right now that may be looking for a job, that would make them more marketable, or how can they be more aggressive with going after the jobs that are out there?
Yeah, I think that sometimes focusing on, like kind of what Marla was saying, focusing on your strengths and your achievements and skills that are transferable help, but also like you have to, if you have a negative mindset, it's also going to hurt your opportunities or your, your chances of getting certain jobs. You got to use a lot of positive self-talk to combat the self-doubt. You know what I mean? You have to understand going into certain interviews and certain situations that who you are brings value to a situation. You have to actually believe that and know that you are capable of learning whatever it is that you need to know in order to be successful at certain things. And you got to celebrate, man, I'm talking about from a mental health standpoint of just being in the job market. If you have just finished an application or you attended an interview, you have to celebrate those small wins, because if you don't, it could be like a really bogged down process as far as you're looking for a job. So, rejection is a normal thing, but you have to try to separate your self-worth from the rejection that you might be receiving. Because if you don't, again, these are some of the things that'll keep you not feeling upbeat or hopeful about trying to get a job, and people can sense that. We recently did some interviews here, and I could tell certain people were just cooked. You know what I mean? They were cooked, and they already kind of knew that, or felt like they weren't qualified or they weren't going to get the job if you ask them a question about something they don't know how to do. But you're not getting, again, excited about the things that you actually are skilled in. So, you know what I mean? It has to be, you have to do what you can to keep your mind in a positive space, so that when you're walking into these interviews, people can see some confidence on you.
Okay. Well, we're going to stop right here just for a minute. It's not a stop, it's a pause, because we have another commercial break and we'll be right back.
Are you a Black business owner looking to expand your reach? Well, has Fly Nubian Money got good news for you? We are building a Black business directory to connect you with customers who need your services. And here is the best part. It is absolutely free. Email us at info@realvirtual.net. Send us your business name. Tell us a little bit about what you do, what services you offer, your website address, and your contact information. That's it. Together, we are going to build and circulate the Black dollar. Get listed today and start connecting with people who are probably already looking for you.
Unpopular opinion, but if you are currently looking for a job, you're in a way better position than somebody that is employed and has been for the last 5 to 10 years. I believe that the people who are unemployed in 2025 will be the leaders of the future of work, and here's why. Number one, you're not attached to outdated job titles or stagnant company. Most employed professionals right now are stuck reacting to change on the inside of that organization. Job seekers are in the weeds of what's happening in the job market right now, and they're looking at their skills to see how they can add value to where a lot of these industries are going, currently positioning themselves proactively. Number two, job seekers are upskilling out of urgency and intention. Professionals who are currently employed are not building skills as quickly as job seekers because they're comfortable. Job seekers, on the other hand, are more likely to be actively completing certification in AI, data analytics, project management, attending webinars, networking events, and learning new tools. They're shaping the skills that will give them a competitive advantage, and hiring managers will definitely be taking note of that. Number 3, they have the opportunity to market themselves globally, not just locally. In 2025, the job market is borderless. Companies in Canada, Germany, India, and the UAE are actively recruiting international talent with fresh perspectives and transferable skills. They're also aligning their careers with emerging trends, not just the industries that we've known to have existed before. Growing sectors like AI, cybersecurity, digital health, edtech, and aerospace are growing worldwide, and job seekers have the time to notice. They're currently building their next move around the future, not the past. And number
All right. So, Melissa, question for you. I was listening to this young lady in this video, and she's convinced that the people that have the advantage may just be those that are already looking for jobs, not those that currently have jobs that may find themselves unemployed at some point. So, do you feel that that's the case? A person that's out there that's looking, is that person in a better position than someone, let's say, that's been in a job for 15, 20 years?
The only reason why they're in a better position is because the discomfort of not having a job, it forces you to be better and it forces you to develop new skills. So when you do find a job, whatever you're looking for, you're capable of doing it, or you're going into something completely different, you know, like if it's entrepreneurship or you want to work corporate or wherever, you have to develop yourself and you have to present something more than what is the standard, you know, just to set yourself above whatever the requirements are. So I would say the pressure of not having a job, it makes you better if you can take it.
That's interesting. So, Marlo, I want to throw this question to you in another form. Those that are in the workplace right now, do you think they get to a certain level or a certain point within their careers where they just become comfortable and they get stagnant in their, maybe their mindset, their growth? What are your thoughts?
I see it every day, and I think that, one, I don't know how it exists, because you got to keep coming. You keep coming to this place, right? You don't want to add value, nor are you seeking any value from it. And I think that, you know, complacency is like, it's not for me. But I see it every day in corporate arenas. And what I also see is when new leadership comes in and new leadership has ideas, it becomes disruptive to those people who are, you know, kind of set in their ways, right? And then new leadership is looking for energy that matches them. But I think that one thing and this, again, because whatever you do every day can certainly transfer into a way for you to make side money in some way, if you understand what the skills are that you do every day. And I think that people need to just, you know, see it for what it is, which is an example of how to grow skill set. I think that people get into, you know, job, career, bills, money, responsibilities, and they don't think about how that job also contributes to their personal growth or making sure that they get some level of personal growth out of the job. Now, obviously, in every industry, it's not going to be that way. That's part of how I work. When I work somewhere, it's symbiotic to me. You getting something, and I'm getting something. And if I'm not getting something, I will be looking to leave and go do something else. So I think that people need to, if you're in the job and you're comfortable, you definitely need to be looking at ways to enhance your skill set, because if you're that set in your ways, and if your job is that easy, a caveman can do it, also a bot can do it. So you need to be, you know, aware of what is happening. And sadly, many people aren't. I think one thing we didn't touch on was the Black businesses being built for survival and not for thriving. We didn't really get into that, but I think that that's something that Black people do need to think about. I see so many bosses, and a lot of these bosses don't have, you know, if they close their eyes today or tomorrow, if they fall sick today or tomorrow, their little empire that they built for themselves is going to crumble. And I think that when we think of building a community, as Melissa has spoken about so many times today, we do have to think about that infrastructure. Everybody is not a boss. Sometimes your talent is better served as part of an organization. And so those are the things. What we gonna have? 64 construction companies, nobody working at the Black construction companies because everybody want to be a boss of the Black construction company.
Mhm.
Like, we really do have to think this stuff through,
Right.
and figure out what makes sense for each individual community, but what also makes sense for creating families that are thriving. And I think that those conversations we definitely need to be having.
Well, and that's so true. Everybody cannot be the chief. Somebody has to follow. Somebody has to, as they say, be the Indians, because it's just not going to work. And I think we have to have real conversations with ourselves and just be honest with ourselves about who we are and where we fit into that model. We talked about this on a couple of shows ago. Everybody is not meant for entrepreneurship, you guys. And that's something you just have to be real with yourself about. We would love to encourage you to consider that if that's you, but you got to bring some special things to the table, some stick-to-itness, because this is not for the weak or the faint of heart. I will tell you that. Now, there may be those in the on the live today that find yourself actually looking maybe for a job, or maybe you're just looking to be inspired. You know, what can I do? What kind of side hustles are out there that other people are doing and winning at? Well, we got you here at Fly Nubian Money. We got you. We have for you a list already created of at least 40 guys, different suggestions for side hustles that you can consider. And you can get that at absolutely no cost to you by sending a message, an email to info@realvirtual.net. Again, that's info@reel, REEL, virtual.net. We got you here. Ain't nobody coming to save us, but we got you right here. In my producer voice, we got you right here on Fly Nubian Money. Now it's time to wind down here, and I want to just say a couple of things, and then we're going to do our little round robin and wrap this show up. But you guys, if you were watching the news last week, we know that there was an ICE raid over at a Hyundai plant. And as I understand it, several hundred people were rounded up, and their country actually sent a plane for them, and they took their folks on back home. Now, as tragic as that was for them, that does also have ripple effects for the community. Because as I understand it, now the plant has made the decision that they are not going to locate there. They're going to relocate there. So in closing, for our closing thought, I want us to just talk about, we've been talking about employment and how that affects us on the personal level, but I want to make this a larger conversation, the community. How does unemployment really affect us as a community? When these plants close, when they relocate, what happens to our community? We're going to let that be our final thought. And while you are responding, when you finish with your response, if you would, go ahead and tell our audience where they can find you. I'll start with you, Melissa.
All right. I want to make sure I answer the question properly. So if you can give it to me one more time, please.
So in light of what we see, like we have these companies that come and they have the plans to locate in our communities, and we know that that could do a lot for our communities. When they make the decision, to shut down or relocate, as Hyundai has done, based on the recent ICE raids, what does that in fact do for our communities? These job losses, these unemployed, the plants that shut down and relocate to other countries. How does that impact our community?
It just leaves us in a shock, because all of a sudden now you don't have the job, you don't have the income, bills are due that month kind of thing. So it just leaves us in a shock. But I always resort back to the same thing where it's like us as a community, we have to stop depending on people outside of our community to make us, to give us wealth and help us to survive. It's really going to come down to what we can create in our own community. And Marlo, I want to kind of expand what she said as far as the whole construction working thing. And it's not just the construction working, it's any job and any infrastructure. We have to be able to see how we can fit ourselves into businesses that already exist in our community.
Okay, Melissa, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on that, and let our viewers know where they can find you.
So you all can find me on Instagram at Melissa_X017.
Okay, thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you.
Joe, I think I'm going to kick this one to you. We see what's going on. We know that oftentimes these companies will relocate for whatever the case may be. What are your thoughts on, I'm gonna do it. I want you to take a different spin. How does that impact our mental health? Let's say people have gotten excited in the community. We have this plant that's coming to our community that could mean so much more for my family, and then whoosh, it's all gone.
Yeah. You know, unemployment is a reality that impacts a lot of people, a lot of communities, and it does impact our mental health. You know, in my daytime, my day-to-day situation, I work as a therapist helping families who are experiencing homelessness. So I see unemployment consistently. And I can tell you firsthand, it's hard to look someone in the face and give them suggestions about how to find a job, especially when a lot of people have, tried everything. And you might think that a lot of people assume that these people are just folks that don't have a job. But some of these people were educated and well employed and ran into hard times. A lot of us are one decision or one paycheck away from being right there. So for the Black community, these challenges go even deeper because we got all these systematic barriers that limit us, to jobs and to wealth and sometimes opportunities. So I understand that the job market is overwhelming, but I'm going to advise people to just focus on what they can control. And that's all you can do. Like if a plant closes, Dr. Sabrina, you don't have any power or control over that. And like I said earlier, your name is not on the side of these buildings, so you don't have decision-making power in a lot of these situations. But what can you control? You can build your skills. You can protect your mental wealth. You can seek support, you know what I mean? And you can explore opportunities to grow yourselves. And the setbacks don't mean that you are worthless. They're just a part of your journey. So I encourage everybody to stay resilient and be proactive about these. Don't wait for the bottom to fall out. Don't wait for the plant to close to be attempting to try to grow and figure out where you can be helpful or expand your skills. Work now to create pathways towards long-term stability for yourself. That's what you can do. All right. And then when you get opportunities to enhance or branch out into the community, please do that. And if you're not going to do that, at the very minimum, just do not create harm to your community. That's all I ask. If you can't do nothing to help us, don't do nothing to hurt us, folks. All right. My website is right there underneath my face. You can catch all my socials right there. My podcast has been on a hiatus, but we're coming back pretty soon. But if you're following me on my YouTube page, then when I do create an episode, you will see it. And join me on Instagram, TikTok, or wherever, and keep up with what I'm doing. Y'all have a good one.
All right. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. And Marlo, we would like to know your closing thoughts today.
I think what everybody said before me is spot on, right? You can't control that factory closing. What you can control is the infrastructure that you create within your community. What you can control are the support mechanisms that you all have in place. Strong, united communities won't be broken by this, right? But if we are dependent on the job, if we're dependent on the factory, if the factory is what we're looking to fuel the community, then we're always going to be in jeopardy. So I would just say, like Joe said, you cannot learn enough. Learn, enhance your skill sets, always get better, and figure out how you can take what is within you to create what you need to survive and thrive. If you have a little side hustle and you want your side hustle to potentially be able to bring in more money, you want more people to know that your side hustle exists, you want to get your side hustle in search results with big brands, the Marlowe Group can help you. If you are looking to expand it, if you're worried about the factory, if you're worried about your good government job or whatever it is, and you have a thing on the side that's not really bubbling, give us a call, shoot us an email, and we will point you in the right direction and help you do what you need to do so that your business can sustain.
All right. Thank you, Marlowe. And for my closing thoughts, you guys, unemployment is tough. I've been there myself. Fortunately, I have not experienced it recently because I made a conscious effort to remove myself from the labor pool and become a business myself. Even that's tough. I say it all the time. It is tough. There are so many things that are impacted when we find ourselves unemployed. One of the things that I want to leave with you as a thought, and I think we have to start thinking about how we manage our resources when we do have them, you guys. You know, there is this such thing as making sure that we are stewarding our resources in such a way that should we find ourselves unemployed, that we do have something to fall back on. Now, I know there may be, some of you may say, well, Dr. Williams, that's easier said than done, because there are situations when you may not even have time. Take, for example, my child who was just getting started in the workforce during the pandemic. Sold his first car, did such a good job that the people he sold the car to gave him a tip. He sold them a car, they gave him a tip. So when you experience things like that early on, that can be devastating. These things that happen within the economy, a lot of times, we've said it on this show today, they are far beyond our control sometimes. But for others of us that have been in the workplace for long periods of time, I want to encourage us to really, really get serious about how we are stewarding the resources that we do have, so that when we find, or should we find ourselves unemployed, we do have something to sustain us, because unemployment affects our mental health. It can even affect our physical health, you guys, certainly our relationships. So this is a very, very serious thing. And I want to encourage you to do your part, that which you can do. There are some things we cannot control. We can't control whether the plant relocates to another country. We can't control whether it shuts down. And in some instances, we can't control whether they lay us off or not. But what we can do is make some conscious choices and some better decisions about how we manage those resources that we have when we are in a position to earn. With that being said, I am Dr. Sabrina Edmond Williams, educator, author, and investor. Opening minds and closing contracts. I am so noted, and I am so excited and delighted to be your host today here on the Fly Nubian Money podcast. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us and tuning in today. Unemployment isn't just a statistics, you guys. It's a reality for millions of families, especially in our communities. But I want you to remember something. You are not powerless. No, you are not. You are not powerless. Take this time. We've told you, we've encouraged you here. Take this time to sharpen your skills, explore entrepreneurship options, protect your money, and lean on community resources. The job market may be uncertain, but your future does not have to be. Stay connected with us, continue the conversation, and remember, here at Fly Nubian Money, we help you what? Master your mindset and maximize your money. Until next time, bye.